right, James Cozad, welcome to the podcast, man.
Thank you.
You want to bring that in?
Thank you.
You can pull in the whole thing.
Okay, I was like, I don't know how this thing works.
You're good. All right, there you go. You're good.
Is that better?
Yeah, dude.
That
Right
work?
on.
Okay.
All right, man. So you just got your general contracting license. You're in the construction company. Dude, how was it for you to go from, I mean, you probably started in construction just working for somebody, like working for people, right? How was it for you to go from like working in construction, like very blue collar, to be like a blue collar entrepreneur? That's very different.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to go that route. Throughout like high school and stuff, like my stepdad's a general contractor. My dad's just like really handy, just does everything his whole life. So it's kind of crazy coming home from like my mission basically. And just tried going to school, always hated school. I've wanted to have my own company since I was like in 8th grade or something. And I never wanted construction to be the route. But I had the skills, and I had a lot of mentors obviously that could help me out through it. So it just started off as being a handyman basically, and then just got blessed with opportunities that just kind of led me here. So it's crazy going, just from like building fences all summer to all of a sudden, doing large scale remodels and stuff for big clients. Like, I don't know if I'm allowed to name them, like Silicon Slopes and stuff like that. Like it's huge. So, it was overwhelming for sure.
Dude, that's crazy. What was the biggest surprise going from, maybe, if you're just doing handyman, you're doing little stuff right here and there, and it's not too crazy, but then going to these big projects and dealing with like being a business owner, going through all of that, like what was the biggest surprise?
The biggest surprise, I guess, I mean, I hope that every entrepreneur knows that like it's going to be a lot of work, but trying to do the physical work and your marketing and make sure you're getting all your insurances down pat, and making sure you're paying the state as well as federal and everything, like, and trying just not to get fined or screwed over by anyone, dude. Like, it's been crazy. It's been like, I expected to learn a lot, but I honestly didn't think it was going to be this much. Yeah. So I see where people it's invaluable knowledge that most people just don't understand how much really goes into a business.
And not only that, but like a construction business, because there's permitting and licensing. And if you're doing a remodel like that, you might have to go to the state to get permits or something. So I maybe not on the inside, but
sure, 1000%.
Yeah, dude, and that's wild.
It is
dealing with the state bureaucracy. We're a service, like we don't have to do that. Yeah, but I would hate dealing with any state. Yeah,
well, it was crazy. What happened recently actually is that I had to extend my my taxes, my business and personal, because I just didn't get it done on time.
Yeah.
And so I don't have a bookkeeper or anything, and so I went on and I had like 600 individual like transactions, from my company that I had to go through over the last year. Yeah, basically almost one by one to get them all in. And then I ended up like getting a fine from the state of Utah. I don't even know how much it was, honestly, because my accountant like just bundled it in with me paying him. And it was nuts, man. And that was just because I have you heard of, I think it's Gusto or whatever.
Yeah,
have you
Gusto,
heard of that?
Yeah.
So it's very, very large company that does a lot of different services for companies. So I had them doing all my payroll and all my taxes.
Yeah, Gusto, they do that, yeah.
And I don't know what happened, but they didn't pay my like third quarter from last year to the state of Utah. My federal's taken care of, but not state. And so I just got fined by the state for that. And like, dude, I don't know how to keep track of everything. It's crazy.
And they do, what do they have the coupons. So like you do your taxes and then they estimated taxes.
Yeah.
So they didn't pay your Q3 estimated taxes.
They didn't pay my Q3 estimated
And what's crazy, and this is like kind of boring stuff, but it's so crazy when I interview young entrepreneurs or just business owners in general who just don't understand the money side of things. Like that's the one thing that everybody's always shocked about. Yeah. There's like taxes.
Yeah.
Like government. Like shit, dude. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's better to be a smart businessman first before in my opinion, than almost be good at what you do. But
no, because you learn it and there's a lot of things. Yeah. But then you do what you did. You just go get an accountant and you're like, dude, I need help.
Yeah.
Because that's the one thing I think you should splurge on. I think there's a couple things you should splurge on. Yeah. That's an accountant and a lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Because I don't know, man. I've been in some wild situations where they go, because I mean, I got my degree in accounting, MBA in finance, and it's like, yeah, I mean, there's stuff that they change it on a dime with us. Or we're like, dude, yesterday it was this, and today it's not. And
New rules, regulations,
yeah, that's kind of
kinds
like
of stuff.
and that's kind of like why when I talk to accountants, like a relationship's also the name of the game because then you have you know people and you can at least get you can't get a pass, but you can at least get some grace, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So but like, okay, talk to me about education for a minute because this is something I think gets overlooked a lot. Like you mentioned, you didn't go to like a traditional school, but there was probably a lot that you had to learn. And how did you go about learning that?
As far as trade wise, or as far as like business wise?
Yeah, both, man. Both. Yeah.
So I guess how it kind of started is I wanted to drop out of high school when I was like a freshman.
Okay.
And I wanted to just like live at home, just work like a normal job full time, save my money, and then get my CDL when I was like, this is like my actual plan. Like I pitched it to my parents and they wouldn't let me drop out, which is probably a good thing.
Very good thing for them. Probably.
But I wanted to get my CDL, be a truck driver at like 18, 19, still live at home, save up money for another like 2 years. By the time I'm 20, I could put a down payment on like a fourplex or a multifamily unit and then live there and just
rent out like house.
Just rent it out. I was like by 20,
hey,
I'm
but that's
be there.
Hey, listen, I give my son kudos at 14. If you came to me with that plan, that's a good plan. Like, no, a good plan, dude. I like it.
My mom actually, I called her like a couple of weeks ago and she told me, she's like, sometimes I wish I would have just let you drop out and do that because,
So, well, like, yeah. And this is why I talk about it. Like, I'm kind of in the middle, right? Obviously. Sure. And I'm not saying this to impress anybody, but just to impress upon people the fact that like I have 2 degrees. I think there's a lot of value in college, but I also grew up I grew up in Keokuk, Iowa. I grew up in the Midwest where like the high school degree and a welding certificate, you get certified as a welder coming out of high school. You get certified as a plumber and electrician coming out of high school. And so like, dude, I got homies making mad money as a pipe fitter, pipe welder.
Oh yeah.
Done, bro.
They make good money.
So like and what you said, what your mom said is just like really kind of eye opening. It's just like, maybe that's what is it? You know what I mean? Like, cause there is GED options. And I don't know, you could work and I don't know. I'm not telling anybody go drop out of high school, like,
true.
Or whatever. True. But it's just, how did you feel about that? Like when you had that conversation there, how did you feel?
Like a couple of weeks ago or when I was in high school?
Oh, both.
When I was in high school, I don't want to necessarily diagnose myself, but probably got some sort of ADHD or something going on.
Yeah, sure. We all do.
I can compose myself when I want to compose myself, but
welcome to the club.
Yeah, dude, to the club. Dude, so much energy. And I don't even want to say it's ADHD. I feel like that should just be like part of being a boy, man.
Yeah, that's true though. That's
like
true.
Like just sitting down for like 8 hours and just shutting up all day. It is so tough.
And when you pitch it like that, it's bananas to think that we did that. Yeah,
it is. So, it was good. So all throughout high school, I wanted to, be an entrepreneur and stuff. And so I always had my eye on it, but ended up going to I actually did my own landscaping business when I was like 16. I was working with Papa Murphy's. It was my first job. I actually loved it. It was cool. But, I wanted more experience. So I started mowing lawns and stuff. And, I didn't really, it wasn't like a full-fledged thing because I ended up moving to a different part of the state. And, life went on and school did too. But, I just had a lot of experiences growing up where my stepdad had his own handyman company. And I don't know. I always wanted to do more than just a job. And that's nothing like anti-job or anything. Sure. Yeah. But, for me, I'm just like, I especially with hating school, and I will say like it's definitely like a strong hate.
Yeah.
I'm fine with using that word.
Yeah.
That I just didn't think there was a way for me to get everything I wanted in and out of life without owning my own company. So I've just kind of been like dead set on it ever since high school.
You went to a semester at BYU?
Yeah, I went to like 3 semesters.
3 semesters.
Yeah, and I love the school itself. Actually, I actually really enjoyed being at BYU. I like the people. The professors were awesome.
There's something about the ambiance of being a college student, right? Like the aesthetic of being a college student.
That's
true.
You
like, right?
Yes.
So okay, go do your thing.
So it was cool. I got a lot of good stuff out of the classes there. I took accounting classes and stuff, and that was all good. But it just got to the point where I'm just like, I can't do this for nothing. I came home from my mission and like zero money, literally nothing in my bank account.
Right.
My parents didn't give me any money, nothing. And so I'm like, did my first one full time just on loans. And then I'm like, all right, like I'm not living like this. Like this sucks.
Yeah, this sucks.
So then I went to part time, started working at like the MTC as a teacher, which was sweet.
Dope.
Greatest job I've ever had in my life. And then, but it just got to the point where after doing part-time school and part-time work, where I'm like, dude, like it's gonna take me at this rate like 2 decades to have any of the things that I want.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, at least, you know.
Right. Which is fair.
And,
Yeah. Which
and
is fair.
you know, like by the time like there's all these guys that seem like they had it together in the business school and everything, and they're willing to put in 60 hours a week to have perfect grades to get the best, not
Whatever.
sponsors,
Yeah.
but the best connections and everything. And I'm like, that's not me, man. Like I'm willing to put in effort to get the connections and talk to people with, you know, and charm them over maybe. But just like grade wise, man, I'm like, I'm good with passing my classes and that's it. So that's when I kind of decided to just call it. But
okay. Well, I mean, self-reflecting, self-awareness, like I could either do this or it could be, you know, I could half-ass this college thing, or I could, in the words of Ron Swanson, full ass, you know what I'm saying? Being an entrepreneur. And for some people that makes sense. I did both of my degrees online.
That's awesome.
So I worked 40 hours a week, and did school. And it took me a little bit longer to get my degree for sure.
Yeah.
But it was cool because I got to like learn, I got to like immediately apply things.
Yeah.
And you know what I learned though? You mentioned grades, and I think it's kind of funny that you did, because I had one job one time asked me about my GPA, and I was going to work at Fidelity as one of their advisors.
Yeah.
And they were like, what was your accounting GPA? And I was like, okay, that made sense. And I had a pretty decent one. But other than that, dude, nobody gives a shit. They didn't ask me what classes I took. They didn't ask me what my GPA was. They didn't really care what the school was.
Yeah.
It's just a piece of paper. It was just
would have been nice to know back then, you know?
Well, listen. And this is
so
what
people don't tell you. This
is why school, the whole education system is so messed up. It's because they don't tell you a lot of things. They don't, like, do you remember this in high school? We got 3 of us in here. Do you remember when they would say like, you're not going to get away with that at college?
Oh yeah.
Bullshit.
You could get
I got away with everything at college, man. Are you kidding me? I went a whole semester one time, didn't even know my professor's name.
Wow.
Didn't even know.
Yeah.
I never even talked to him.
Yeah.
I at the end of the class, they did a survey and they were like, Professor so-and-so. And I was like, I emailed my advisor. I was like, who is this? they're like, what are you talking about? This is your professor. Like, haven't you been turning in your assignments? I'm like, yeah, but like, we don't put our professor's name on there.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. Okay. But anyway, it was just funny because like, I didn't know anybody. It was like, show up. It was very entrepreneurial, actually. My degree was. It was like, here's everything that you need to get done. These are the deadlines. You figure it out. And it was
that's
like,
awesome.
And I mean, you can attest to that as being a GC. It's like, these are all the things you need to get done. This is the timeline.
Yeah.
Have fun. Good luck.
Responsibility.
Yeah. See you at the end, bro.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things that but I also think sit down school is going to go away. There's no reason for it.
I hope so. I think it should go away.
You could do online. I mean,
I don't think our government likes the idea of non-sit down school.
Dude, talk about a racket, bro.
Yeah.
Talk about the definition of fraud.
Yeah.
Okay.
We better keep this out of the podcast. I don't know.
No.
Who's going to be paying us a visit anytime shortly.
All right, dude. Tell me, so now you're a GC.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious about maybe some of like the day-to-day stuff. And like, not only that, but what changed in your schedule when you had to do this? Because you mentioned this before, like you got to do all your marketing. Do you have like time blocks and stuff like that to figure it out?
I should. That's always the answer. I don't know. I feel like it's just like starting any company. You just get kind of thrown into the fire, and you just got to learn and make changes in the future. From my personal experience, being a first-time business owner, and so once I went from being a handyman to locking in like these sweet, expensive remodels, were like there's no one else bidding or anything on it. It's like whatever I say goes, basically. And I had to learn.
Why wasn't anybody else bidding? Because you just knew them. You were homies.
They knew me. They knew that compared to like the large companies that are going to be putting bids in, I was going to be way cheaper than anyone else. So I had some of my buddies that I did sales with actually call me when like,
I was going to ask you like, how did you learn sales? But you did pest. Okay.
Yeah. I did pest.
That's good.
And so essentially I had a few of them call me and say, hey, like we like hate it out here. Like this is like the next summer, the following summer, right after I met them. And they're like, we want to leave. Like, would you hire me if I came home? And I'm like, I could have you on as soon as like 2 weeks. I'll have work for you.
Mhm.
And I said, okay. And so I had a few buddies come back home. I had a crew of 2 to 3 guys, not including myself. And because of that, this was my mistake. In hindsight, I'm still fine with how I did it because I learned a lot.
Yeah.
In hindsight, though, looking back, I had the chillest life, dude. Like, I was probably making anywhere from like $2 to $5 grand a week off of this commercial stuff, and that wasn't like super solid all the time. Sometimes we had to wait for other trades to come in and stuff, and so I wasn't really making any on some weeks, but essentially I just like wake up at the same time my guys were getting to the site, make sure that everything's good. I'd visit the job site maybe once a day, and I'd just like basically like go work out.
Yeah, dude, chilling, dude.
Guns. I'd chill, And in hindsight, I really wish I would have done a lot more to use more wise time so I could use that to my advantage, make more connections,
Right.
and get more work like that. But so it was definitely a learning curve and experience with that. But
Yeah.
so I don't know. It's been a lot more in the last few months where I've really had to hunker down because I haven't had a crew since like December. So like as of 6 months ago, I didn't have a crew anymore. And it was right when I needed them the most. We were tearing apart the ceiling for silicon slopes inside this commercial space. And it was like a triple layered ceiling. It was like 2 layers of drywall with like 1x4 planking going across the joists, perpendicular throughout the entire like 2,900 usable square feet. I guess we only had to rip out maybe 2,000 square feet of it, and then there's lath and plaster on top of that from like literally from like the early 1900s when that place was built.
Yeah.
So I did it almost on my own. I had a couple helpers every once in a while, but dude, it is brutal.
Yeah, that's great. I grew up with my grandpa who was a GC, and I remember doing a lot of projects with him. And dude, it like teaches you. I mean, I learned a lot of good things, and it's great. And but man, it's so damn hard. But you know what? You got to be really smart to do that. And it's just a different, I mean, and what people, I don't know, there's, you hear all the time, like there's book smart and then there's like street smart. But like you got, like, I remember looking at, I mean, and you probably have this experience too, but I remember looking at my grandpa and like he'd just walk through a building and he could see the whole remodel in his head. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's like, this needs to come out. I'm like, holy shit, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And that's an art that like that's not true. Everybody can walk through a building and be like, and see in their mind's eye everything that already changed and then how to back into that. And that's wild, dude.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's good. If you can, the trick is marketing that, because there's so many contractors out there that like, especially general contractors get a bad rap because a lot of them aren't even construction guys, honestly. They just know the people. They have the connections, which I mean, good for them. If they're making good money off that, like they're doing something right. But that's where it's just tough when it comes to marketing because you could be the greatest tradesman in the world and have the best skills. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean that people are going to choose you.
Yeah, dude. I mean, we have this conversation every day. I've been in sales and marketing for 20. Sorry. Mm-hmm. I've been in sales and marketing for over a decade, probably close to 11 or 12 years. And that's always the game. Like whenever I go train salespeople or like companies or corporations or whatever, it's always the same conversation at the beginning. Yeah. Like, dude, if I could just talk to somebody, I could close this deal. And it's like, well, yeah, anybody can do, like, no offense to anybody, that's of course. Yeah. Yeah. If I put somebody who wants GC in front of you, you're going to close the deal. Yeah. And so it's like, how do you find the people to do that, man? Yeah. What have you been doing?
To market?
Yeah, to market it.
Dude, I've tried a few things. I can't really say I've put a whole ton of effort on marketing, but
like what's worked?
The biggest thing that has worked for me, honestly, most people say word of mouth. I've got like nothing from word of mouth, basically.
I don't like word of mouth.
Unfortunately, the best companies are the ones that do end up doing that. So for me, really, since I've been out, I've finished 2 projects basically at this commercial building, and now I'm out. That'll be another fun thing to talk about.
Okay, go. Let's go.
Honestly, I tried a lead service, Angie's List, dog.
Dude, that's
terrible.
Cool. Yeah, that's bad.
I'm sure for like homeowners, great. There's like thousands of contractors on there,
but it's not great. Like, what do you do with 1,000 options?
Yeah,
dude? I don't know what the hell. I'm going to get off of Angie's List. That's stupid.
Yeah.
I don't I don't like that. I like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Anyway, but keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. So that one I'm paying like $400 a month. They send me however many leads they end up sending me. I don't have any control over it, and they're sending it to probably 10 to 15 contractors.
Yeah. That
So
same lead goes to
Yeah.
everybody.
So you're just in a bid war with everyone, ton of tire kickers. No one's ready to do their projects. Like, yeah, we just want to see how much it's going to cost. And, and I'm like, that's not my job. So I've tried that. Recently I, had Enrique come over, and my big mistake is I didn't set up Google right away. I thought I did, but I haven't been verified on Google since I built my own website over a year ago.
That's man.
That is where I killed myself. That is where I've killed
Google
myself.
My Business thing, dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of honestly, I feel unfortunately like I'm almost back to square one with starting my business over again.
So what do you do at square one to market, dude? You do all the stuff that you got through the first ones.
I've literally applied or whatever, like 10 separate community pages on Facebook. Post on there. I'm really trying to find. I'm trying to find enough handyman work to pay the bills.
Yeah.
More like the smaller things that I can go in, keep my overhead low, and just make easy money in a few hours here, a few hours there.
Yeah.
But what I really am trying to do now is more so find either other general contractors to work with that if I build a good enough relationship will kind of be the same thing as it was for me in commercial, where they're not looking for anyone else. Most people genuinely want one person to deal with. They don't want to deal with a ton of different people. So if you can find a company that already has work for you and they sub it out to you or however you want to do it, even if you end up subbing it out to someone else, you want to find someone that is going to consistently be bringing you work every single time, and they're not going to find competition with you.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for more general contractors like that, looking to connect with them.
Yeah. Have you ever been to
Guyver? No, I haven't heard of it.
Oh, okay. Let me introduce you to these guys. Okay. Guyver's legit. And then another guy I want to introduce you to, his name's Taylor.
Perfect.
Legit, dude. Because it really is like the name of the game of this is like, dude, it's just like who you know, man.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people. And then it's also funny because you do have to have some of like the basics of marketing kind of taken care of,
true.
Right? And
that's true.
But like a lot of people don't know that, dude. It's crazy. Yeah. Like somebody should invent a college where you like go to school for business or something and they teach you.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I didn't learn shit in business school. I actually got my MBA. I didn't learn dick. And dude, it was wild. I mean, I learned a couple.
Goes right out the door once you get hired by someone.
Well, no. What's funny about that is like it's a lot of high level stuff.
Okay.
Right. And so like MBA in finance, so like a lot of high level strategy that and a lot of high level like finance and maybe some stuff like that doesn't really apply to like you, for example.
That's fair.
But the knowledge that I have from that just came from a lot of like experiencing the back end of that, and then just being a salesman, dude.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because dude, you know what's crazy? I saw GC sending out some little people knocking doors.
Yeah.
You want to kitchen? You want to read?
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, dude,
I've got
wild.
like 900 flyers that I'm ready to go hand out.
That's great. It's great. Listen, print is back.
It's been like my least preferred avenue. I know it works. The thing is, I know it would work if I did that. It's getting myself to pound doors again. And it's like my biggest thing that I'm just like, I know that if I put my face in front of people and didn't just like drop flyers off at the door, but if I knocked on doors and actually sold myself, that could work for commercial too. If I go into these old downtown spaces.
But like also that's a great pitch, dude. It's like, hey, I'm actually not here to sell you anything. I just wanted to drop off a flyer. I'm a general contractor in the area. If you ever need any help, I'm here.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, it's such a soft approach that most people appreciate it. Because here's the thing, here's the counterintuitive way to sell is like you just say things that people aren't expecting. Yeah. Like, I actually just want to give this flyer. I know a lot of them get lost. Not here to sell you anything. Like, have a great day. You just like start walking off like, wait. Well, like, what do you do? And it's like, that's kind of how like, a lot of things, that's how I like to sell, dude.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you just say stuff. Like one of my favorite, I say this all the time, but like one of my favorite things to say when somebody says they don't have any time is like somebody like, I don't have enough time. Oh, thank God, me either.
Yeah. Get out of there.
Yeah. Like, and then they're not expecting it. They're expecting you to say like, oh, well, just give me 10 minutes. Like, dude, me either. So if I pitch this in 60 seconds, we'll be good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Then I can
That's
do
fair.
that, right? I'm ready. Like I have
Yeah.
a 60-second pitch. And anyway, it's just funny though.
Yeah.
Like
This is something I've actually been experimenting with. And I actually just sitting here. This is why stuff like this is good, is it gets the brain just as flowing again. You know?
Right.
Something I did recently that I think I need to do more often is, so there's this, I'm sure everyone knows acai bowls, right?
Yeah.
Okay. They're wonderful. They're amazing. There's a place that I love in Provo, and they have a shared bathroom with like bok chicken or something like that, right? And I've been in there, and their bathrooms, their shared bathrooms, disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, terrible.
Yeah.
And so I talked to the store manager of this place called Bowl Superfood, right? And she gave me the number of the store owner so I could find out who owned the property.
Yeah.
And suggest them to either do like tenant improvement, you know, where the tenants pay for it and then get reimbursed through rent or whatever, you know, or just get to call them. And unfortunately, it's really creative, but you know, the guy never got back to me. I tried looking up the LLC who owned it online, and I found it. And but it took me to like the
creative dude, yeah. But
yeah,
you know what's hard though, in your defense,
sure.
the only reason I know this because and Enrique's, but we worked in franchising. Commercial real estate is ridiculous. Like I had so many people say like the landlord wouldn't even call me back.
Oh my God.
He would like one guy was like, I'll pay whatever you want. I'll pay exactly what's advertised. Just call me, and they wouldn't call him.
Yeah, that's terrible.
So like, don't knock yourself too hard for that.
It was hard getting a hold of their office, man. It got me in touch with like the real estate agent, and then she didn't pick up her phone, so I left a message. Nothing.
Dude, yeah, they just people
but,
just like, it's wild.
Yeah,
it's wild.
I'm sure it's a numbers game, just like any sales is. You know, it's
but also it's like you know, it is a numbers game, but it's also like, are we calling the right people numbers?
That's
game,
fair.
You know what I'm saying, like,
that's super fair,
dude.
Yeah.
But I like that, man, and I also, you know, it's also good to kind of have these conversations because you just get to like know, you know, the ins and outs, and like Google My Business is a big one. And dude, I think, you know, and just partnering up with people who can elevate it and then just work. But dude, Utah's got a lot of like entrepreneurs in this.
It does.
Isn't that wild?
It makes it really tough. It makes it really tough. People here are, I'm sure in a lot of ways it's great. You know, I mean, it encourages competition and everything. But people in Utah like spending their money where they like spending their money, and they're very stingy in other ways.
Oh yeah,
you know?
absolutely,
And so
100%.
I've got people that they expect a GC to work for like 30 an hour, and I'm like, dude, that doesn't even cover like half of my insurance.
Yeah.
For the month, you know, like I don't know what you're talking about. It's
Isn't that wild, bro?
It is.
I've never experienced that except for, I mean, a couple parts outside of Utah, but never really experienced how like crazy. That's probably my biggest gripe is like, they're like, oh, what? GC, my grandpa can do that for $1. You're like, all right, then get your damn grandpa in here. Bro. Why the hell did you call me? Like, actually, that's my first. That's why I actually. Oh, that's crazy. Your grandpa does that. Well, what am I here for?
Yeah.
Like, well, hold on. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. That's why I also. That's why I love just like the counter those things where you're just like, oh, okay, cool. Like grandpa can do it for $1. Okay, great. See you later.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, dude. It's kind of like that. Just I don't know, man. Because you don't want to work with those people either.
No.
Do you ever turn down bid? Where you're like, nah, I'm not bidding on it. I mean, maybe not right now, but
there's some jobs I will, but it's more because it's something that I don't really want to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they're like, well, we want you to like do drywall and this and that, and I'm like, I've got a guy to do my drywall. Like I don't want to touch that. You know,
dude, drywall's stupid hard.
Yeah,
I don't like drywall.
Yeah,
I also don't like insulation.
Yeah, insulation's not fun. Insulation's not fun at all. Yeah, it's terrible.
That is terrible.
But
kudos to the guys who can do that.
Yeah.
Like how some people think about accounting is how I feel about insulation.
Yeah. You don't want to be itchy all day?
No.
You don't want to go home.
Dude, I had to do that one time. Now they have the blow insulation or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But even that's
better.
But even that sucks, dude.
Yeah.
You're just all it's terrible.
Yeah.
But no, dude, that's wild, man. And I got some really good advice one time that from a business owner who was like, I wish that I would have said no earlier to like bad clients.
Yep.
And I was like, what do you mean? Like, he was like, they were like, I was really desperate for money. I was going to take any gig that I could. And it ended up just like people not paying, people being too picky, you know, like, Yeah, dude, but it's so hard to hear that at the beginning. You're like, yeah,
It is.
okay,
It
okay,
is.
you know, like,
You're
okay,
like, I'm willing to take
$1 million
an
a
L
month
on this one
GC,
if I
yeah,
get a good review, you
yeah.
know, and then they give you a bad review
Anyway,
and
they give you a
shaft
battery, yeah, and then don't pay you. It's like, bro, and those people
Yeah.
exist out there. People and like people
Yeah.
you never think is like, but I understand too. I'm also empathetic to the other side of it, where it's like, yeah, okay, $1 million a year GC, tell me to say no,
Yeah, of
whatever, dude,
course.
shut up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just gotta be, you just
Yeah.
gotta be willing to do it, and
Mhm.
then follow your intuition on that one, dude. But yeah, that's
fair.
wild, dude. Yeah, dude, I think I think what would be cool is to like help the conversation and everything. Tell us like what tell us like anything else. Like we asked you something surprising, but like what
Mhm.
else have you learned since being a business owner, dude?
Oh, dude, it's been a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of the most simple ones is like it's all about who you know. That's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
You know, meeting other people, but
That's right.
like I feel like I don't know how people would ever start a business without like mentors.
Yeah,
know,
you got a few of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I already
Nice.
mentioned a couple of them. Enrique's kind of one of them. I talk to him a lot, you know,
Enrique's good.
but also other GCs. Like I've got a lot of hits on one of the Facebook posts that I made that taught. And honestly, I was like, because what I really want to do is I don't want to just be like going to job after job for the rest of my life. Like this is not the end goal for me.
Yeah,
is to be a
yeah,
general
yeah.
contractor. I want to use it in order to like build some sort of equity or like put in use my knowledge to essentially build, whether it's multifamily units, whether it's other
Yeah, get into
properties,
like real
rentals.
commercial, yeah.
Like leverage my skills, and instead of getting paid hard cash for it, being able to get something that I can eventually use to get either passive income or to borrow against, to get more real estate or something like that.
Yeah. You want to get into like that.
So instead of posting on all these things that like, hey, I'm just looking for work, I've been posting that, hey, I'm looking to make connections with real estate agents, with other general contractors that want to be in a partnership, or with investors to get some deals done.
Yeah.
Essentially. Because if I can I can find enough like little handyman work here.
Yeah. That's
again to pay the bills. But I want to like fast track everything. And so I wouldn't know anything about that if it weren't for asking. Like a lot of business owners, including myself, sometimes I feel like we feel like in order to sell ourselves, we have to act like we know more than we do. But it's surprising how much like other business owners want to just like share their knowledge.
Yeah.
They just want to share their knowledge.
Yeah, that's so
like,
true.
They don't care about getting anything out of it. I was on the phone with another general contractor that doesn't want to self-perform his work. And he's going after like large government contracts essentially and wants to give it all to me. He's like, I'll have you do everything, whatever you want to do. You want to do the finish work, done. Framing, done. And I talked to him and he's like a decade older than me. He's like 33 or something. And I'm 24. And so he just he just shared everything. His experiences. He's worked for the big guys before, and now he's deciding to do his own thing. And it's huge. So.
Dude, that's wild. And that's something that a lot of people don't understand either.
Yeah.
I started this podcast with that premise, which was like anybody will talk to you if you just ask them.
Yeah.
And if there's something in it for them. And it sounded like in this case, he was going to get help and he was willing to give you all of his knowledge in exchange for you taking whatever the work. Yeah. Because I mean, a lot of people don't understand that. Like, yeah, it's like it helps you, but people also understand that it helps them too. Like they don't want to be doing this. And business owners, yeah, dude, people will open up to you a lot and they'll just give it to you freely. Sometimes stuff you don't even like ask for. They'll just be like, oh, and another thing, this is going to come up. And by the way, this is what you're going to want to do. Yeah. I think it's just like, whoa, dude, I would have never thought of that. Yeah. That's wild, bro. Yeah. And yeah, I think that more people should just like be like, I don't know, just get out there and I don't know. Nobody's really thinking about, there are not a lot of gatekeepers out there. Like nobody's really thinking about how they can not do this. Right. Yeah. Because everybody lives in that abundance mindset. You know what I mean? It's
that's true.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. And not only that, but like people also think when you like when you're talking to them like that, they get to talk about themselves and they get to learn new things too. I mean, it's kind of wild, dude.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's true.
Yeah.
No, but it's
how do your parents feel about you being an entrepreneur now?
Better than they used to.
Really, really, really.
Yeah.
Were they concerned? Were they like, oh shit?
So here's the deal, and this isn't anything against either side of my family, but
Of course.
my mom and my stepdad have always been very supportive of the entrepreneurial thing.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was very much like, he's had a job since he's like 10 years old.
Yeah.
You know, like he didn't have, his parents were divorced and stuff, and his my grandma wasn't, you know, unfortunately the best provider or mother or anything. And so he was like, started off like fixing like commercial washers and dryers, like, machines at like 10 years old.
Well,
You know, then all his money goes to his mom.
yeah.
And
That's
so
wild.
he's just been working for someone else his whole life. And I admire him for that,
Yeah.
you know, but all throughout high school, he's like, well, you know, maybe you should just go get a job. You know, you should just go get a job, and maybe
Yeah.
you shouldn't try doing this or that, because in all reality, you just want to provide for a family, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
You know, which in the big picture, you know, that probably is the most admirable thing, is, you know, taking care of a family.
Yeah.
But again, I just knew that I wasn't going to be happy. But now that I'm here and doing it, they've been a lot more supportive.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's talk about that for a minute, because a lot of it, when I'm kind of in a phase where I'm doing a lot of stuff with fathers and dads and things like that. And you have a point there, but here's the big thing about like being the difference between, and I heard this on a podcast, but, and from a couple therapists, but the difference between women's mental health, like solving that problem. So like women want to feel safe. They want to feel secure. They want to feel like, you know what I mean? That's, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
They want to feel love, and they want to feel accepted.
Yeah.
And then they want to feel safe. And that's great. And that's how we have to treat our wives. And that's what we do. Men, while those things are nice, like we don't necessarily care about safety.
Yeah.
And love and acceptance is great, but we more want to feel powerful and capable.
Yes.
So
respected.
Yeah. And we want to have those things. And then it goes back to this, what Jordan Peterson, how he said it was beautiful, was like men, you know, man specifically. I know sometimes in religious texts, man means both, right? But in this case, it was specifically man, I think, does not live by bread alone. Or like, it's not enough for a guy to provide for his family.
Yeah.
Like, it is honorable, but like at the same time, like men need to have purpose. They need to feel like they can do things, like they have the autonomy and that they're powerful enough to do that. And it's not like a tyranny thing. It's not like this dominance thing. You know what I mean? Like, oh, let me tell you, this one blew my mind, dude. I'm still tripping over it. I had a gentleman in my other Facebook group, the Fatherhood Podcast group. He said, how do you expect to lead people if everyone's afraid of you? He's like, imagine going up to a lion for protection.
Yeah.
Like, you would never do that.
Yeah.
And so he was like, you know, powerful people are leaders, and that power is to like guide people and lead people and through love and things like that. And I was like, dang, dude, that was tripping me out. It's a wild one. But it's kind of like that, right? And so back to your point of like, because I feel the same way. Like, I always tell people, my why isn't my family, because if I have real family.
Yeah.
And if I ever hit the rock bottom, would my kids or wife leave me? No. There's at this point in my marriage, like the answer is no.
Yeah. That's awesome.
You know what I mean? So like,
That's huge.
why? I mean, like, we can live in poverty and be happy and love each other. So like my thing, but I don't want that to happen. But that's why my why is like my passion and what I feel like I do it for is like the progression and me. Like, this is what keeps me sane. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You feel the same way?
Oh, 1000%. So I'm getting married next Saturday. So
good for you.
Week and a half, we're sealing the deal, right?
Let's go. Let's go.
And that's actually a talk that we just had. You know, I love my fiance with all my heart. She's amazing.
Yeah.
She is very supportive.
Yeah.
But she does, especially as a young woman with our whole life ahead of us, it's easy to think about right now and not so much, you know, 10, 20 years down the road, because it can take that long to build something sustainable.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully not. That's not the plan, but you know, it could happen. And, you know, it's really easy to just be able to think, you know, like, oh, you know, I'm getting married. Maybe I should just focus on paying the bills first. I can go be like a project manager at another company, make 60, 70K a year. And we can have a good life. you know, and then maybe I'll be able, like, I'll have more experience, and
Yeah.
that's the easy thing to think is I'll be more experienced if I go work for the big guy and then I'll go do my own company.
Right. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
that doesn't really happen very
No,
often. You
no,
know,
no, no.
once you get into that, it's really difficult once you start living a
Because you just get
lifestyle
real
to
comfortable, dude. It's
you
like,
do.
oh, this is easy, bro.
You do. And I'm so afraid of being comfortable like that. I'm like, I like the days where if I want it to be marketing day, I can just stay home,
And
market
do
from
marketing.
home, you know, be on the phone whenever I want, you know,
Yeah.
just kind of use my time how I want to. You
Yeah.
know, if I have something coming up, if I want to go snowboarding during the wintertime, I can
Yeah.
tell people not gonna be on the job site tomorrow. You know,
Yeah.
tomorrow I'm not working between these hours. I've got
Yeah.
commitments,
Yeah.
you know, and that's what I want to do.
Yeah. You
And
just have autonomy. Yeah.
yeah. And so it does come down to that though, exactly what you
Right.
said, you know. So I'm hoping to have that relationship like you got with your wife one day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's kind of the thing. That's kind of where you're tested though. Is like we've always been, but you know, I don't know. Our relationship's not perfect, but it's great
Sure.
because we know that about each other now. And what's cool though is you really get that conversation though, because there is a way for it to work. Like
Mhm.
because I'm an entrepreneur, I have a lot of ovens in the fire, or excuse me, things in the fire all the time,
Mhm.
and but we still find a way to make
Yeah.
the safety there, but also like I can get unleashed a little bit. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I can go out and like do things and take little bits of risk. But
Yeah.
dude, now is the time. I don't know, dude. Now's the time. Like you don't
It
have any
is.
kids or anything.
It
Like
is.
you get, dude. It gets hard. Like I only have 2 kids.
Mhm.
But it's just harder, dude, because you're like, man, now it's not
Yeah.
about me anymore.
Yeah.
And that's a difficult conversation, right?
Mhm.
Like now, how do I balance? And this is something we talk about in the group, but how do we balance like uh, the needs of your family and my needs? Like,
Yeah.
because if I'm not cool, like if I'm
Yeah.
not straight with myself, like it's really hard to be all of the things I need to be in my marriage and
Mhm.
in my family. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a balancing act, dude. It's very difficult.
Oh, I believe it.
Crazy.
That's one of the things I'm most nervous about, you know?
Yeah.
That's one of the most frequent talks that we have is obviously when we're talking about the future. It's like, well, like I want you to be a full-time mom too. She wants to be a full-time mom.
Sure,
Which is
sure,
great. I
sure.
support that.
Yeah.
And it's like, but if that's going to be the case, and if we want to have this type of lifestyle, then like we need to help each other as much as we can now so that we can have that. And so that I can feel like I'm being a good enough provider,
Right.
you know, as a father by the time that time comes.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, it's, yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Those are the
It's
fun conversations.
well, yeah, and no, but they're good, and it's cool that
Yeah.
you're having them. I talked. You want to hear a scary stat?
Yes.
Not that don't take this any type of way.
Sure,
It just
of
came to my
course,
mind. I
of
I
course.
interviewed a marriage therapist one time,
Mhm.
a marriage counselor one time, and he said couples who go to therapy before they're married, he said like some astronomical number, like
Mhm.
80%, 70, 80% don't end up getting married.
Wow. Yeah.
And he was like, that's crazy. I was like, that's
Yeah.
crazy. What happened? He's like, no, he's like, that's the best. I wish it was, or whatever number, but he was like,
Mhm.
it's a great number because you avoid that in the future because you
Yeah.
have those hard talks in therapy
Yeah.
that you didn't think you needed to have. Like,
Yeah.
do we need to have this conversation? But it's like, yeah, dude, if we're going to do this, we got to have some kind of game plan of like, cause my wife doesn't work outside the home.
Mhm.
She does that
Mhm.
thing, but it's a different dynamic, again,
Yeah.
like kind of like what you're saying. It's like, well, sweetheart, this is the lifestyle we've chosen to have, and it's
Yeah.
and this is definitely not for everybody. Everybody
Sure.
do their own thing in their marriage. We don't give a shit. But like if we were to do this in our family, like we gotta have some trade-offs. Like
Yeah.
I might not be there for dinner every once in a while.
Yep.
I might not do this. Like
Yeah.
and like
It
we're
might
definitely
be
gonna
sun
find,
up to sundown.
yeah.
you know?
And if you're cool with that every once in a while, like and then that's when this illusion of balance gets thrown out the window. Like there's no such thing,
Yeah.
right? You're just present. So when it's wife time, 100% wife time. When
Yeah.
it's kid time, 100% kid time. When it's work, 100% work. I'm not,
Yeah.
I gotta be, you know what I mean? I have
Yeah.
to be fully present and committed to whatever I'm doing at that moment. And then when I'm switching, I've got to be 100%. So it's not really a balance thing because one of the things about, being a husband and being a dad is like, that I don't know, this is my experience. It's quality over quantity.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, my wife, like, my wife could be like, we're like laying in bed, for like 2 hours watching a movie. And my wife could get up the next morning and she's like, I don't feel like we really hung out.
Yeah.
You're like, wait, hold on. We watched a movie for 2 hours. We were snuggling the whole time. You're like, what the hell? And then she's like, no, we didn't. I didn't feel like it though.
Yeah.
But that's like, we laugh at it, but like,
yeah, for her, that's real.
Yeah, but
you
it's
know,
real.
like,
But then I go and look, I'm laughing. It's really happened. It's funny, and her and I laugh about it too. But then there's other times when I'm like 15 minutes, like or like 30-minute lunch date. Like she meets me wherever I'm at, and we go to lunch, and we don't have phones, and we just talk. And dude, she forgets about me the rest of the day. She's like, because it's like I was there versus you know we weren't there. We were just watching a movie or whatever.
That's true.
So sometimes, and my kids, dude, like 5-10 minutes, and with my son, and he's great or whatever, but like that's the other thing is like my daughter, dude, she doesn't care if I go to work. My daughter was like, you ask my daughter, like, what's daddy like? He works too much. Like that's what my daughter will say to you. Dang, yeah. And it kind of checks you, but it also is a reminder that like that my kids don't know the difference between 20 grand a year and 100 grand a year.
That's true.
They just want me. Yeah. They don't know they don't, and they honestly don't care. They don't know the difference. And if they did, they wouldn't care. Yeah. So I don't know. It's just something that, that I always think about. Talk about being a dad and being a provider and something like that. And it's kind of fun to think about. Yeah.
No, I love that.
Dude, it's wild.
It's a lot to think about for sure.
Dude, it's wild. I interviewed a guy who was about to have a baby. He was like you, but like in a week he was having a baby, and like, it was wild, dude. I don't know. I'm not, my daughter is 6, almost 7. My son's 5. It's crazy, bro. Crazy, dude. Believe it. What are you excited about getting married? What are you nervous about getting married?
Dude, this has been, and hopefully if she ends up listening to this, she's okay with me. She doesn't like me sharing too much about the relationship. But okay. I feel like these are probably pretty typical for most people. Yeah. But like as a man, that I'm a freedom guy for sure. Like I do like I am a homebody. I like spending a lot of time at home. But like I had to, like I sold my motorcycle and stuff. Like I had a race bike, you know, and I'm like, I love that thing. I love adrenaline, and she doesn't. You know, we don't have like any hobbies that we do together at all. Yeah, and my wife and I don't. And so that's the thing is that's been one of the largest concerns. But I have talked to a lot of people who's like, like it's really not as bad as you think. Like you end up finding things you do together, and it's and then you're able to have your own time doing the things you love, where you don't have to feel crowded by your partner. I'm like,
oh no, me and my wife, opposite sides of the spectrum. I'm super extroverted, do a podcast like this, I do stand-up comedy, stuff like that. My wife gets anxiety when there's more than 5 people in the room that aren't family members. Like she likes to go to the gym, and obviously I hate the gym, right? Just kidding. Like, I would rather do jujitsu or like you're boxing or wrestling or whatever. Like and she's like, come to the gym with me. And I'm like, I don't want to go to the gym. We just had the conversation. I was like, I literally told her, I hate the gym. I'll go if you want me to go because you're my wife, and we'll go. But like, I will not enjoy it. She's like, well, don't come then. I'm like, all right.
Well, you got those Hawaiian jeans already stronger than everyone else at the gym, man. Like there's no purpose.
Like, I'm like, I just don't want to waste. I'm like, I don't care. Yeah. But no, I don't know. For me, it's not, I don't know. Cause things will come together too. Like there are things that like, my wife and I, like I said, we're totally opposite. We were raised totally different. Like we're totally different. But it's worked out because we've also had to like come together in the middle. Like my wife raised very conservative LDS. I was raised LDS, but I was raised LDS in Iowa. Yeah. My grandpa swore from the pulpit. Our young men's leader took a smoke break in between the 3 hours. You know what I'm saying? Not the same. Not the same. Yeah. You know what I mean? Different. And so we've kind of met in the middle. Like I've had to tone it down. Like, all right, I can't do a lot of that stuff. And she's kind of toned it down, and we've kind of met in the middle to raise our kids very moderately or whatever. Yeah. But also a lot of things that we didn't think we would enjoy, we enjoy now. And so, it just takes time. I don't know. My thing is like with marriage is totally counterintuitive, but it goes along with this whole thing, which is like, don't take it too seriously. Just like have fun. Yeah.
That's, like I appreciate that advice.
Yeah. A lot of things are like, you're going to have a ton of problems. One of them should not be worrying about all the problems you might have. Yeah. Just tackle them one at a time. And I mean that respectfully, like everybody goes through, everybody goes through it, and, and that's just part of being a dad though. You know what I mean? And being a husband. And dude, crazy, because that's just what's been on my mind lately because of this new podcast or whatever. But being a dad is wild, dude. Being a husband's wild. It just changes a little bit. Yeah. You definitely got to you're like, man, you definitely have to learn about like women They also don't, you know what I mean? Like they're different, and that's okay.
Do you
I don't
have
know
any
why-
sons, or you
I have
mentioned
a
your
son.
one? Okay.
I
Okay.
have a boy
Yeah, how
and I have
many
a girl. Let me
okay,
tell you
boy and
something.
a
I'm going
girl.
to say the most controversial thing I've ever said on this podcast right here.
Yes,
You ready? I'm going to get
yes.
canceled. But
Perfect.
But like there is a stark difference
Mhm.
between my son and my daughter.
Mhm.
Like night and day, and I didn't teach them anything. Like
Yeah.
I didn't teach like I actually put my daughter in jujitsu before I let my son go to wrestling and stuff.
Oh wow.
I put my daughter in like because like in the traditional sense, like I'm a
Mhm.
feminist. Like I want women to feel powerful. I want
Yeah.
them to have their space in the workplace. I want them to do all these things.
Mhm.
But like then eventually my daughter's like, I don't want to do jujitsu. I want to dance.
Mhm.
Like I didn't. My wife danced, but like
Mhm.
all right, go dance, right?
Yeah.
And then and then and I'm like, all right, and I didn't do that. Like I was
Yeah.
actively like putting her in
Yeah.
combat sports, and she still does it because I think it's good for her. But
Mhm.
and then my son, like I didn't like I was actually more soft with my son than I was my daughter,
Wow.
and I would babied him, and
Really?
then he started punching me in the face, and I'm like, I didn't do any of that. Like I didn't teach my son, but like they have there's those genes. that,
Yeah.
like my son's really aggressive,
Mhm.
and my daughter's temperament, like she, and my son is more aggressive, my daughter's more assertive, and that's like the difference between men and women. My
Yeah.
daughter loves to play with people, and she loves meeting people, and she loves being a people person,
Mhm.
and that's a trait,
Yeah.
of a girl, a feminine trait. And my son, he likes to play with, he likes to go do his own thing, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, dude, it's just crazy, man.
Yeah.
But you do, but like I've never understood why we try to like combine things anymore. Like I do think women should have their own spaces,
Yeah.
and I
I
think that's
agree.
important. And I think
it's
that
very
men having
important.
their own spaces is also important.
Yes.
And then there's a time when you come together and
1000%.
you know what I mean? Like what the heck, dude?
1000%.
Look.
There's all this stuff. I don't know. You can stop me at any time
No,
you
no,
want.
I don't
but
care, bro. Go ahead.
The story I've seen over and over on social media is with like that transgender swimmer
Uh-huh.
male that like tied with like the first place female.
Yeah. The whole,
And he got to pose with the trophy and stuff, and she didn't for the sake of thing. I'm like, man, just like let people
Yeah.
compete in their own space.
Yeah, everybody
them
should have
compete in their own
Look,
space,
dude.
you
Did
know?
you see that? By the way, did you see that? We can fact check this, but did you see that sports team, the Ryan Reynolds sports team?
Oh yeah,
They-
versus
the men's recreational team versus the
I
women's.
saw that today.
Yeah. I was like, dude. I mean, look, let women play in their league, dude. It's
Yeah.
not bad. Like, why are we trying to do like? It's
Yeah.
not. It's not fair. It's not funny. Like
Yeah.
to me, it's like just let. You just want because it's not fun to lose that bad, dude. I've been in
No.
positions where you just
Oh
like,
my gosh.
dude, end it, man. Just beat me. Like,
I've
and you just
literally
drag it
told
out
my
of them.
fiance in times when we're playing games, I'm like, I will not play this with you. 'Cause I'm like, your feelings will get hurt and I'll get in trouble for it. And then I'm going to have a terrible night.
Yeah, I don't want to. Or you're like, dude, it's like I don't like losing that bad. I want to
Yeah.
feel like I'm competing. I want to
Yeah.
feel like I can win. I'd rather lose by 1 than by 100, dude.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I don't know. Yeah, all of this stuff is wild, but that's just something that because I deal with fathers a lot and dads and fatherhood and husbands and stuff. And just because I deal with that a lot, you just can't treat these situations the same because.
Yeah.
What I've found out too is like in marriage is like your wife, this will be if you haven't experienced it, you will. And it's the craziest thing I've ever experienced. Is like your spouse will come up to you and they'll be like, I felt this way. And you're just going to be like, what? Or they're like, you did that. Or like my wife, the first time we've been married for like 8 years, 9 years. And the first time it happened, my wife was like, you did this to me. And I was like, what are you talking about? I don't have any memory of that. I've never. And then she said it like she described the event that I remembered. I was like, yeah, I remember that. She's like, yeah, you did that to me. And I was like, whoa, like we just saw things differently. And that was the craziest thing. And so like, that's why when people are like, communication is the biggest thing. I didn't understand that. I was like, well, yeah, we'll talk to each other. But like, no. Like communication is a big thing because you guys didn't see this. You didn't experience the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's wild, dude. That was crazy for me.
Mhm.
I was like, and then my wife feels like I'm like being disrespectful, but I'm being truthful. Like,
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah. You see what it is.
I'm like, well, no, I was just like, yeah, we just have different perspective, and that's why you got to kind of come in the middle. But I don't know, dude. Being a father, being a husband's great. I love it. And being a father and an entrepreneur has its own bag of weeds that, and by the way, I think this is the most useful advice that I've ever gotten about being a husband or a dad or a father. It's like, this is the advice. Nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. Like, please do not look at somebody and be like, they got it all figured out, man.
Yeah.
Like they do not have it figured out. They actually do what we all do. Sit down with their wife.
Roll with the punches.
Sit down with their wife, talk about it every night, figure out how to get better the next day until they die. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we just you went on a mission. Enrique went on a mission. We have companion study every night, just like you always do, because we're trying to figure out each other. Because like, how do you know? Like, how do you figure someone out, right? When we don't even know. Like, I'm trying to figure out who I am. Like, I'm trying to figure out who I am. You're trying to figure out who I am. You know, and it's even crazier. The world is trippy, dude.
It is.
Anyway, I know we went on a tangent, but you're good, dude. I'm happy.
So.
I'm happy to be interviewed you, Doug. So before I let you go, though, tell everybody where they can find you if they want to get involved, where they can do that.
Yeah. You can find me on Google. Just look up Cozad Enterprises and you'll find me. I am still technically on Angie's list. I'm on Thumbtack as well.
So, Thumbtack.
I'm trying to think of, I know I've set up a few things, but
you got Facebook. Can they find
I've
you?
got Facebook
and all that stuff.
You can look up James Cozad, and my page will be on my page as well. So it'll say like Cozad Enterprises, remodel and handyman.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on, bro.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.